Hello and welcome back. It is the MLB DFS Slate breakdown for Monday, August 7th. We are back. It was a really good weekend. I placed second and third on Saturday in the bigger FanDuel contest for 12.5K. I hope you guys had a profitable weekend. And if you weren't playing, I hope you just had a good weekend. We like good weekends around here. All right. Now, before we get into it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to all our videos. And also, come join us at LineStar. It is only $29.99 a month. Gets you access to all of our props, all of our DFS stuff, the optimizers, all the tools we have, props AI for all the sports we cover. There's not a better deal in DFS. I am very, very confident in that. All right, now let's get into the fun. So we're going to start by going over yesterday's slate, the perfect lineups, followed by the winning lineups for each FanDuel and DraftKings. Then we're going to get into the pitcher ownership on both sites, and then some stacks to consider afterwards. All right. Now, perfect lineup. Oops, hit the wrong button first. All right, so perfect lineup yesterday. We had Chris Bassett, Johan Avedo as the pitchers, and then we just had all one-offs. So let's take a look at the winning lineup. All right, so Johan did get into the winning lineup as well as the perfect lineup. Now, he was only 7% owned, so it was nice little leverage on the field there. And Kyle Bradish was the other pitcher, who was a chalk pitcher, but, he made it happen. And the real story here was Toronto putting up 13. So he got it done with the Toronto stack. Washington put up 6, and he had 2 Washington players. So it was a nice, 4-2 and 1-1 lineup construction there. So that one's a little bit different. Now, he had a bigger correlation of 4, small correlation of 2, and then 2 one-offs, so I like it. And there is, some reasons to go to a 4 stack instead of a 5, even on DraftKings. One thing is that, most people that are stacking are either doing 2, 3, or 5. On DraftKings, not that many people do 4, so that is one way to be a little bit different. If you do only go to 4, I would absolutely at least do another smaller stack, either 2 or 3, something like that. Or you could go to a 4-4. So it's definitely in consideration, but congrats to Taylor 4445, who was able to take it down, took home $50K. Now let's get over to the FanDuel slate here. So perfect lineup. Ovidio got in there. Then we have a 2-man Washington stack and one-offs from there on out. And the winning lineup on FanDuel, Tub Thumper. Not sure what that means, but it's an interesting one. I feel like one of these days I'm going to have to call out somebody's name I probably shouldn't be calling out, but we'll save that for another day. All right, so we have a 3-man Washington stack, 2-man Cub, 2-man Cincinnati. And that, that got it done. That was enough. So we have some correlation, decent one. Interesting that Toronto guys did not make the winning lineup here, nor the perfect lineup when they put up 13 runs. So that is kind of interesting there. But you know what? Nonetheless, very good lineup for Tub Thumper. Congrats to you. Congrats on your 20K. And now let's get into today's slate. Get me out of the way again. Get me over to the right. So we have a pretty interesting slate here. It is a Spencer Strider slate. So once again, he is the highest projected owned pitcher. I mean, for good reason, right? The guy's been absolutely amazing. 2.84 FIP over his last 20, 2.64 over his last 5. And even when he's given up a couple runs, he's still striking out, 9, 10 guys, and that's enough to always, be usable. He has a super high floor because of his 40% K rate. Pittsburgh striking out 26%, so no surprise whatsoever that a lot of people want Strider today. You know, the thing with him is that his median projection is so high because his strikeout rate is so high that he just should be the highest owned pitcher pretty much every time he pitches. And today is just more of that. 35% combined K rate is absolutely wild. I did just realize I started on the FanDuel one. We'll go to the DraftKings. Still very similar. He is still the highest owned, but 12.8K is a very hefty price tag here. But look, 35% K rate. The value is still 2 with a 26 point projection. You just don't see 26 point projections, and it just goes to show you, how much he's worth in fantasy these days. He had 119 point game in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So pretty much 70% of his starts are in this situation that you likely must have him. He's been unreal, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. The one thing I would say is he just allows a lot of fly balls and some barreled contact. So, there's a good chance that there's a home run against him, but his strikeout upside is going to be high enough that he'll likely do just fine, but he is just super expensive. With Freddie Peralta being 3K less, personally, I'm probably going to go Peralta over Strider. 3K is just a lot, and I don't think Peralta looks that much worse than Strider today. Colorado lineup striking out 27%. Peralta averaging 30% more fantasy points at home. His K rate lately has been insane, 35%. He's just frankly been pitching very good. 2.94 FIP over his last 5. Big time K rate. StatCast data look good. BVP data looks good. The opponent team splits for Colorado is ugly. 219. Only 11 home runs and 460 plate attempts. This team just looks terrible right now. And I think Freddie Peralta is in a great spot to crush them. Next, we got Dylan Cease. 8,500 I think is just too cheap for Cease. His ERA has not been good recently, but this is a guy that's 3.79 FIP, 3.35 FIP. He is pitching much better than his ERA shows. And I think that's going to right itself, sometime soon. He just had a stretch of games that he was pitching really well. Got roughed up last start, but it's against Texas, in Texas. He's home versus the Yankees. I'm not that scared of the Yankees. They do hit righties decently, but I think Cease can get the best of this matchup here, and I don't mind going there. Although, it's all kind of older data here, but he hasn't been the best versus the Yankees. Yankees were a better offense last year and the year prior. But yeah, it doesn't worry me that much. I think his price is low enough. One thing I do need to say is LineStar doesn't love him. Only, under a 14-point projection at 8,500 is not really what you'd like. He does only have a 23% combined K rate, so I get why LineStar isn't there. Dane Dunning, 7,200. Dane Dunning absolutely smoked the slate last time out. 7.2 innings, 11 Ks, 1 earned run, 3 hits. He crushed it. We were all over him then. I don't like him as much today. It is actually a better matchup than yesterday, or last time. Oakland strikes out 26%. They have a very low WOBA, an okay ISO. But I just don't think Dane Dunning is that guy, and I can't follow that last appearance. His K rate is still only 20% over his last 5, even though he went out and had 11 Ks last time. The combined K rate is 23% though, which is a little bit interesting. He is only 7,200. And if you go back to, say, Dylan Cease, it's the same combined K rate, but it's 1,300 less. So I get it if you want to go Dane Dunning here, absolutely. Just don't expect another outing like the one he had last time out. Got Logan Webb versus the Angels. I think it's actually pretty nice hitting weather in LA today. Angels are striking out almost 25%. Logan Webb is averaging almost 35% less fantasy points away, so that doesn't bode that well to him, but he is a very good pitcher. Low threes FIP, 24% K rate. Combined K rate's only or almost 25%. LineStar likes him, and really outside of Ohtani, there's really not much to worry here about this with this Angels offense. So I don't mind going to Logan Webb. Garrett Cole, 11.3K. He's expensive, but he's been very good. And lately, of course, 2.86 FIP, 31% K rate, 27.5% combined K rate. He looks really nice as an alternative to going Strider. He is low owned. Matchup favors him. White Sox aren't great as an offense or versus righties. 137 FIP, 300 WOBA, 23% K rate. I think it makes a lot of sense to go to Cole over Strider, even though the strikeout rate is much less, but this ownership is much less. So don't mind doing that pivot there. Kodai Senga, he is so hard to figure out. He is extremely inconsistent, but when he's on, he has some real big games, and he's been good lately. 2.8 FIP, 29% K rate. Cubs have just been hitting very, very well right now. There is also some weather concerns in New York, so we do need to watch the weather as the game goes on. And the Cubs have been hitting very well, so definitely need to pay attention when it comes to lock if you want to play Senga. LineStar doesn't love it. I don't love it, but you can absolutely make a case for him as being a decent play. Sandoval versus the Giants, he's been pitching okay, but I just don't like the upside here from a fantasy standpoint. All right. Ken Waldichuk, I got to talk about him. His K rate has gone up dramatically as of late. 28.9% over his last 5 starts. He's only 5,400. I think there is a chance that he has a decent game, even against Texas. The combined K rate is 26%. That type of combined K rate at 5,400 is just unheard of. The one thing I do need to say about him is that his floor is negative points. So he is risky, but I think there is some upside here, and he's much better at home. 48% more fantasy points at home. That K rate has been very interesting lately, so I am willing to take some shots on Waldichuk here. I know everybody's saying fade right now, but that just means it's going to be an incredibly low ownership. And if you want to get risky and you want to pay for Strider, you can then go Waldichuk, and you still have, a decent amount of salary for your bats there. And that's really all I like for the lower-owned guys. I think Gavin Williams is okay. You could totally go there. I do worry a little bit just because he hasn't really been pitching over 5 innings here for, over a month now. So I do worry that he would have the ceiling high enough to get it done just because of that. All right. Click over to FanDuel. Highest owned Strider, Freddie Peralta, is only 1K less on FanDuel. Definitely not as attractive as he is on DraftKings, but I still do like him. Dylan Cease is low owned on FanDuel. I am interested there. Interested in Logan Webb as well. Senga, Ryu. Waldichuk is super cheap again. Now, it is different here on FanDuel. I think that the upside of Peralta and Strider, Cease, Webb, all those guys is just way too high to likely go to Waldichuk. You know, I usually play, say, 50 to 75 lineups. I might have 2 or 3 of Waldichuk on FanDuel. And that's probably the most I'd have of him. I see some merit in taking him. I just think it's a very, very low likelihood that he scores high enough to go, you know, to be in, say, the optimal lineup versus some of these other pitchers. And then low own one, I think you got to consider here on FanDuel is Garrett Cole at 1,100. You know, or 11K. He looks decent here in a good spot versus the White Sox. He's been pitching super good. He has solid K upside. I think he's very interesting on a very low-owned situation on FanDuel. All right, now let's get into the stacks. All right, so 8-game slate. There's worries weather-wise. Pittsburgh, you got to worry about weather. The Mets, you got to worry about weather. I think everything else is likely okay. But always pay attention as we come close to lock time. All right, so our highest owned, we got Red Sox versus Cole Reagans. No surprise there. Reagans has been okay lately, though. You know, low 4s FIP. Next, we got the Rangers versus Waldichuk. You know, I said I do like Waldichuk. I do, but big but here, it is the very good Rangers offense. And this is a spot where I don't mind playing both sides of it. The Oakland bullpen's not very good. Waldichuk can absolutely get beat. So I don't mind going there as well. KC versus Bello. So Bello went through a streak where he was really good. That is not what he's doing right now. 6.08 FIP over his last 5. Makes sense to go to KC. Milwaukee makes sense versus Lambert. Lambert, 5.44 FIP over his last 24 over his last 5. You can absolutely go there. Now let's go to the highest projected. No surprise. We got the Atlanta Braves all over it. Beto isn't great. Mid-4s FIP. He can definitely get beat up. We do have to worry a little bit about rain here, but I think it will be fine. I think this game plays. Just might be a little bit of a late start. Texas, we talked about, makes a lot of sense. Yankees versus Cease. Cease has got blown up. His ERA is way higher than his FIP. He keeps having bad luck go against him. So does it continue today? Very possibly could. So I don't mind going to the Yankees. Angels, they're at home. Webb isn't as good away, so makes a little sense there. Cubs, wind is blowing real hard going out at Citi Field for the Mets. So, you know, get a little bump in home run probability because of that. And Senega, you know, can give up a couple. So, and the Cubs have been hot. So makes a little bit of sense. It is a low-owned stack also. So it gives you some leverage there. Value-wise, we got KC. Bello hasn't been great lately. He was a little bit ago. May revert back to that. Who knows? But I don't mind some value there. Boston's cheap. Milwaukee's cheap. I like all of this. Oakland. Dane Dunning, even though he was great last time out, still has a 5.4 FIP over his last 5. This A's offense somehow puts up a couple runs every single game. They have some speed. They have some power. They can score in different ways. So I don't mind going to a cheap Oakland stack. All right. And then the ceiling-wise, Atlanta, Cubs. We talked about Cubs have very good hitting weather. So it makes sense to go there a little bit for some home run balls. And then Texas versus Waldichuk. Pretty much everything we talked about there looks good. I think it's going to be a fun slate. A lot of different ways this one can break down. Have a good week. Have a good night. Good luck. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's win some money. Bye.